So the topic of today, it's not something I would think about most of the times, but it's something that is reflected to me more than me myself really reflect that this is something I am doing differently. And it's really around money in abundance. When it comes to money in abundance, I remember myself being in Copenhagen a couple of months ago, and I had a conversation with a friend, and I told her, money comes easy for me. And wherever I do, it doesn't matter really what I do, but it just happens to be that I'm an energetic level where it comes easy. And I can go through a tough year, I can go through a good year. I'm ending up in the same kind of stability anyway. And she told me, it sounds, when you say that, I've heard other people say it, and I always felt it was very arrogant. And when you say it, there's something in me that just believes you, that you really believe that there's something in you that is saying that not to prove yourself, but actually to share something from your feeling about your belief around money and how it feels around you and money. And I realized that actually it is something that I am exploring. The same thing came when I was speaking with Bharat, and he said, Dara, you have to do a session about abundance because this is something that I learned from you. And again, I was thinking, but it's not something I am intentionally thinking about, but for sure, if I look back on my journey, the journey has shifted from when I was when I started this and how I've reflected about money in abundance to where I am today. And my intention today with this session is to share with you my ways of thinking around money, around abundance, around the practices I do, around the reflections I do, around the rewiring of my mind that I've done throughout the years that has allowed me to create, first of all, more stability in my nervous system. It really started with that, to feel more secure in myself. And then, secondly, to start really exploring my thought patterns and my belief systems and what I told myself. And then leading into really going into what is the expanded version. This is the 3-part conversation that I'm bringing to you today. I really want you to think and reflect. How is this for you when you think about those questions? If you're watching this now, if you're watching the replay after as well, what does that really represent for you? If you think about the 3 parts of, first of all, how is, when I'm even hearing the words money in abundance, how is that landing in my nervous system? If I'm thinking of the conversation I'm having, how conscious am I of those conversations? How conscious am I of the narrative, the stories I'm telling myself? And then the last part, which is such an important part, is how do I actually play with reality? How do I actually create from a place of, oh, if everything is my own reality, if I'm the only creator, if all of us are creating our own realities, how do I even play with that? And this is where I want to take us today. And I'm very excited of going into this because why this conversation for me, if I think about it, is that it's such a present topic in our mind. Maybe in some families, you're not even allowed to talk about it. I have some clients who told me, at home, we don't even talk about it. It's a taboo topic. I don't even ask my parents how much they are earning. Maybe that's the taboo question even to talk about. Start rewiring this part for yourself. Maybe it's something that you don't even think about, or maybe this is something that is so easy for you, so easy to tap into. My intention with this masterclass is that you really get to find what is needed for you at each level, because you might rediscover something, but maybe you are very advanced in terms of manifestation and abundance and you see the next level. So this is really an all level conversation, and you will come out with what you need from this. Whatever you desire, it will come for you. I truly believe in that. So let me take you back to when I started the companies. I was in 2011, I opened a language school in southern France. That was my first company. I started teaching hourly sessions because I didn't want to work for anyone. And that grew to a small language school with my ex-partner. He speaks 12 languages and I spoke 5, and we developed a method, and it was very fun. And for many years, I just enjoyed the journey of traveling, giving workshop, opening an NGO in France called the Language Caravan, just really having fun and enjoying and not having so much pressure. My intention was to be free. That was my first goal of making sure that I don't need to go back to Sweden and start studying something. I studied European law and working in the Brussels headquarters or something like that. I didn't want to do that. That was my goal. And that was the goal achieved. But until 2016, I didn't really have any initiations, let's say, into going through big up and downs that I saw in movies. And 2016, I just came back freshly from Australia, where I lived for a year, published my first book, did my TEDx. I just had fun. Everything was just so easy. And it really felt in Australia that it was the golden rush, this feeling of when I read the books about or see movies from the US when they talk about the golden age when everything was possible and you came to the US and you became a millionaire. That's how it felt in Australia. It really felt that everything was possible. It was so easy, so fun. Everyone had abundance and the economy was growing. They had this optimism. And I was taken by that. And then I came back with this freshness back to Europe, moved back to Southern Europe. And I'm so excited to be back and bring it all. And I come back and I start to have this excitement. In the beginning, I'm so excited and I'm opening myself. I'm just going to bring what I learned. I'm going to do the same here. It's going to work. And I moved to a small apartment in Lisbon. And we had this small apartment. We were paying 750 euros. It said 4 bedrooms, but actually it was 4 mini rooms. You know, there's apartments that actually could be just one big studio. That's how it felt. It was the 4-bedroom moldy apartment in the dark on the first floor for 7 people. That's what we could afford because we just came back to Europe. And I said, okay, I'm convinced it's going to work like every other time. Every time I started a company elsewhere, it's going to work the same. And I started the journey of just going for it, just meeting people, offering workshops, doing what I know how to do. And I started to feel a bit less excited, almost as my excitement from the beginning took off towards something that was more, okay, I'm reaching out. You feel like the excitement. I'm keeping the excitement, but I'm not receiving the feedback. I'm not receiving the validation. So I'm reaching out, but people say no. They don't have time for me. They don't reply. I start to reach out to more people. I reach out to 100 people plus on LinkedIn to have a coffee. I had lots of coffees. Nothing is happening. Months are passing. And I start to see my economy go down. And I start to see that everything is just coming to another reality, which I don't understand because I've been just floating and flowing since I started this. And now I'm starting to receive a resistance. I'm starting to get the first time a moment of what I am doing, my putting in the action in, is not responded with a reaction that I am happy about. And it started to feel like, okay, it's going to take off. Maybe it just needs more time. Maybe it's different in Southern Europe. But then the reality started to hit me that when I cannot pay my rent. So I've gone from having a lot of success and everything to having the 750 euros rent to pay, and I don't have the money on one of my accounts to pay it. I have to pay with several cards. And I don't know if it ever happened to you, but having to take a bit from one and a bit from another and just hoping that it's going to be okay this month again. And I'm starting to feel less proud of myself. I start to feel like there is maybe something wrong with me. Deep inside, I don't understand what's going on. I start to feel that, okay, maybe I need to work harder. Maybe I need to give more of myself. So I take on more clients. And the clients I take on are not so respectful of me. They're paying late. They're not showing up. They're canceling projects. They're canceling midterm. They're negotiating pricing with me. And I go into this loop of self-doubt, loop of self-worth where I'm just feeling worse and worse about myself. And deep inside, I do know that this is not my reality. I don't know if it ever happened to you when you go through something in life and you just feel, I know that this is not the story I'm supposed to be in. What is happening in this reality, in this moment, this is not my story. This is not how I see my vision. This is my vision and what I see myself as and how I see myself living my life. And the reality is not adding up. So deep inside of me, there's still this belief that I have landed in some weird reality, which is not my reality. Deep inside, I still know that there's something that is not my truth. But it takes me a lot of effort until I get to a point where I feel so bad about myself in terms of my self-worth, of starting to accept all these type of clients and they're treating me least really not good. And I'm feeling that nothing is working and the economy is going down. And what I'm really afraid of is to hit zero. Because for me, if I hit zero on my account, that equals failure. That equals that I really did not manage to make the entrepreneurship. Even if I managed to start a company in 2011, I did not. I am a failure. I'm a fraud. I am not someone who can have a business. That's what is going through my mind. So what I'm doing is that I am accepting everything not to get to that point until I just get so exhausted and tired that I say, I cannot do this anymore. When the system just, and I think my body is very good, is that my body said, no, we're not going there. I love you enough to say that we are not going there. And at some point, I just get to the point of just exhaustion, just so tired, just I don't want to do this way. I cannot. And there's this wake up moment of this cannot continue this way because I see if I just continue accepting everything, not just to get to zero and having those small clients that are okay, but it just keeping me afloat. If I continue at this, like in 5 years and 10 years time, nothing's going to change. So I start to get myself out of that. The shift was really getting to okay, I need to have higher standards for myself. There's something that in terms of self-worth, if I don't put up some standards of how I'm going to be treated by other people, then nobody will. Because what I was expecting them to do was to give me the good condition, give me the love, give me the standards, give me the values that I deserve. But I was almost asking them to do the work instead of telling them this is what you have to do to be in my space. So my standards had gone so deep down that I was attracting people who basically could treat me like they wanted. And that moment, I opened my phone and I said, from 1st of June, I will no longer go for coffees with random people from LinkedIn. I will no longer work with clients who treat me bad. I will no longer coach my friends for free. I will no longer. And I made the list of 15 things. And I told myself, this is what I'm going to look at every day. This is my new contract. I'm done putting myself in lower standards. I'm done not seeing the love I have for myself. If I have no money in any case, I might as well do it while loving myself. And that list was the beginning of the journey, the no-negotiable list. I call it the no-negotiable list. I've hosted workshops in Mind Valley and other places where I had groups writing their no-negotiable list because of the value of this work. Writing a list when you say, I will no longer, from this date, what are those things that you will no longer do from today? No matter what will happen, there is no way that I will take down my standards. No matter how much money I can make, I will just no longer do that because the standards I have are higher. And the way you know your non-negotiables is if you ever feel resentment, if you ever feel I'm overgiving, if you ever feel a moment of disconnection in your heart with the person in front of you, go back to your list. And I can promise you, 80, 90% of the times, it was because you did not honor your standards. Because you said, this time, I will actually negotiate with myself. This list is called non-negotiable list for a reason. There is nothing on that list that is negotiable. That is your higher standards. When it comes to money, especially when we start to sacrifice our self-worth in any way, you might realize, actually, I work this weekend and I don't do weekends. I don't see my friends. I don't have time for myself. I'm just working late nights and weekends. I will no longer work weekends. And if you have this new client and you have no money in your account saying, can you work weekends? You say, no, I cannot. Because on my non-negotiable list, my standard is I am not working weekends. no matter what. It's just not going to happen. Can we take a call at 8 a.m.? No, we cannot, because at 8 a.m. I do my meditation. We're not going to have a call at 8 a.m. That was my first way out. This was the first step from going from this spiral of just going downhill to not understanding what was going on to start seeing myself. That count didn't change in that moment. I still had just enough, bare minimum to pay my rent. But I understood that there's something that has to start with myself. The second thing that I did when I wrote that non-negotiable list was to start working on my money beliefs. And I said to myself, if I got myself here and I know business, I've known a lot. Of course, there's always things to learn, but I was so invested in learning and teaching, and I understood the marketing and sales on a quite good level. I thought maybe there's something in my leadership, in my energetics, in terms of my mindset around money that is creating this reality. So I took myself to a T. Harv Eker Millionaire Minds seminar in Brussels. It was a seminar for 2-3 days, and we took a bus there and went there with a friend and my ex-partner. And I was excited because I thought maybe I will learn something there. And as I get to this seminar, it's very interesting. We talk a lot about beliefs and money beliefs. And on the second night, we are walking in the city, just walking around, and I want to take out some money from the ATM machine. So I put it's a small ATM machine, not like a normal bank, like in the corner. There's nothing there, like some random ATM, but I don't think it's late at night. I just want to get some cash. I put my card into the ATM machine and the ATM swallows my cards. So there I'm standing and I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. I traveled all this way to go to a Millionaire Minds seminar to work on my money beliefs, and now my card is swallowed by the machine. And my friend is laughing so hard, he cannot stop. He said, this is so funny, because this is exactly the type of situation where you just say, either I cry or I laugh. I'm standing in Brussels. I have zero cash. I have no access to any savings, because that's what I believe at that point. My friend, who is also getting to this broke level, this is why we had the money seminar together. I figure out, okay, I can get some cash. But the thing was, I start to laugh so hard in that moment as well, because my fear has just happened. I have no money, and I was fearing this moment so much of having no safety in terms of cards. I call my mom. She's on holidays. She doesn't know how to do those bank things. I'm just saying, okay, I really have no way. I cannot see how to get out of that. And the beautiful thing in that moment was, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not dead. That's what comes to my mind. And I start to laugh. I really go, I'm not dead. I have been fearing this moment so long to get to the zero. And now that I'm here, the reality feels the same. I was fearing that like the end of the world. If I get here, everything will stop. Like, I'm going to be a fraud. I will have to go back to Sweden. I create this scenario of me living, I don't know in what condition, working in Brussels. All these years was for nothing. We are going home. Bye, Sebastian, my ex-partner. Bye, my friend. I'm going home. This is when I start to understand, wow, I created this reality where I would think I would die if I had no money in my account. I don't feel different. I'm just laughing. And then I said to myself, okay, if I got here, this is what I feared. And now I'm here and I'm feeling the same. And actually, I'm feeling a relief. I'm feeling freedom. I'm feeling, oh, I don't need to fear this anymore because I'm still safe. I am safe in this moment. Nothing happened. Brussels is still, I have a place to stay. There's going to be a way to do this. And I'm starting to see solutions because I was so scared that this fear was holding me away. It was clogging my view of what was possible. And then in that moment, I realized that I have been mixing up my safety with my comfort. And this was a huge realization because I had a comfortable life for many years, traveling and doing whatever I felt that I wanted to do and allowing myself to live a beautiful life. And what I was afraid of was really not having the same standards of comfort. But it wasn't my safety. Maybe I would not be able to do the same thing for a while, temporarily. Actually, the small adjustment temporarily that might happen sometimes when we're going through cash flow up and downs, it's not your safety, it's your comfort. Having one less bedroom for one moment, or staying with your mother for a moment, or having to borrow some money from your friend, those things happen to everyone. And we make it such a big deal. Oh my God, I'm not safe. As an entrepreneur, we are taking risks. We are going through a journey. And it's okay and it's completely normal that we go through ups and downs as we're exploring and we're discovering this. I mixed up safety and comfort. And I put the comfort that I wanted to have into this is my safety level. It's not the same thing. And when I realized that, okay, if I ask myself, is this comfortable? Am I safe? Actually, I am safe. I am safe. Everything is okay. Sharon is sharing. I can so relate to your experience of mixing up safety and comfort. Yeah. It's a huge one when you realize that, wait a second, I'm having a moment temporarily where my economy is looking a bit different because maybe you invested, maybe you took risk, maybe there's something external that happened, maybe you had external expenses, wherever happened. Am I still safe? Oh, okay, I am safe. I have a home. I have something. I have options. And what I realized then when I said, okay, actually I am safe, but I don't want to go down in my comfort, or I would like to do my best to keep a higher comfort, I have options. And this is when I realized, sitting that night with my friend, I remember we were sitting in some bar, having this conversation and laughing, and he's an amazing energy coach. And he said to me, but Daria, is it true that you don't have any safety, any way to access any savings or anything, something like that? And I told him, you know what? Actually, I do have a saving account, but that account I cannot touch. And he told me why. I said, that account is for when I buy my apartment. That account is for situations that I cannot control. And he said, it sounds like a situation that you cannot control. I said, but no, that account, if I touch that, then my mom will say things and then I cannot do that. She said, so you're afraid what your mom will think. And I realized, oh, the fact that I actually had options, but I was too vulnerable taking up on those options. I wanted so deeply to show, to improve somehow to people around me from where I come from, that I made it, that I was just afraid to be seen as a failure, as a fraud. That I didn't even look at the options because their expectation, their view of me was more important than me actually creating a reality where I had options. So when I looked at that, I realized I have parachutes. And this is something I've been always coming back to since then, for myself and for our community. Do you have parachutes? Because sometimes when we go from, okay, I am safe, I'm in security, maybe it's less comfortable, but I am safe, I'm going to be okay. Then we look at what are my options. And then I looked at what is my worst case scenario? My worst case scenario in that point, I would say, okay, imagine, and this was my parachute, my company is going through an adjustment to the European market that was going on right now. I'm learning about the new market and I need more time. Fine. So the business is not earning so much money right now. Do I have any savings? And I realized, okay, I have some savings. What happens if all these savings are gone? I have 6 months, maybe I have 1 year. Okay, maybe I can ask my mother for some money. Maybe I can see if I can do a co-living for some time. I started to look at those options, maybe the governmental money. And if they don't want to give me any form, now we're talking years in and I'm failing as an entrepreneur and I'm asking the government for money. My parents have a summer house without internet in the northern Greece, in the village. I'm going to grow potatoes and tomatoes and I'm going to live there and I'm going to become a farmer. And I told myself, that's my worst case scenario, to live in northern Greece, in the mountains, in the river. Wow, that doesn't sound so bad. I realized that I had so many parachutes before I got to a point of really not being good, which my worst case scenario was a house in Greece, a beautiful home. And I told myself, wow, I really make it so much tougher than it sounds, because Maybe the business is going through a cash flow situation, but to be honest, I am still having years to figure this out. And somehow I put so much pressure not seeing the options. And this is when I started to remind our clients, our community, our workshop participants, anyone who talk to me about this feeling of nervousness, because I know how it feels. And you know how it feels when you feel like there's no option. And I'm just, wow, I just cannot see. Those two things have helped me so much. No negotiable is checking in. Have I sacrificed any of my standards? Getting myself back to self-love, self-worth. Second thing, am I safe? Actually, I am safe. And third thing is, what are my options? If I look at that, how much time do I have? And realizing that all of us, we have to remember we are so privileged. I think we forget it sometimes. We live in privileged societies. We are so blessed to be born in this life, in the countries we are born, because there are people who don't have this privilege. And when I look at that, I say, wow, actually, many of us have parachutes, investments, other ways of real estate investments or others, and savings and partners and friends, and maybe some summer houses, maybe a couple of months co-living. Like there are so many options, maybe taking on a job sometimes. Again, it has to do with identity. But just knowing that I am willing to do this, if it comes to that point, takes off the pressure. Because maybe you will never need to do that. But knowing that I have years ahead to figure this out and I can just keep going and growing, oh, okay, I can breathe. There is no more pressure. There is no more stress, because the stress has to do with identity, with me not wanting to change my identity, how I see myself or how other people see me, or anything about my comfort that will be questioned in a certain temporary time. Maybe that scenario is such a important to understand that if I get to that point, I'm going to be okay. Just to accept. Sharon saying no more survival mode. Yeah. And no more victim mode, because even in that moment, we are in a state of so much power. We are so privileged, many of us. And we all have different parachutes. It's not all the same. Maybe you say, but I don't have investment. I don't have parents who have. But look at your options. Honestly, look at the options that you have and look at worst case scenario. What would that look like? This is the first step of money rewiring, calming the nervous system and starting to go from this feeling of there is no way out and I am getting to a nervous system where we just see a tunnel vision to, okay, let me just talk myself out of this. Let me get myself out of this crazy loop I'm in and get myself to the other side where I start to see a light on the end of the tunnel. Because there's always one, always. And I want you to take a moment now and just really reflect, what are the things you can do now? What would be the SOS readjusting the nervous system to get yourself out of this tunnel vision, out of this everything is going down, there's no way out, I'm in this fear. What are the things that you could do now? Take a moment and just really think about this. Okay, what is my SOS box? Hearing me share what I just shared, integrating what we are talking about. So you have it, so you know, okay, if that happens, I have my SOS box. I know how to get myself back. Sharon is sharing. Worst case, I could sleep in my car, but I realized I have so many friends who would step up and to hold me for a while. I could float around to their homes, ask my mother for help, or get a job, exchange healing for room and board. Yeah, there's so much. There's so much. We're not talking that we need to do it, but say, okay, I need to tap into my savings. I need to sell my property that I am invested in, wherever that is. Just knowing that it's there, that you might never need to touch it. Just saying that I am safe because I have years ahead to figure this out, that it calms our nervous system. And then you don't need to do it, but knowing that it's okay if that happens. I'm okay with that. I accept that's what I need to go through. And all this entrepreneurial stories, it's this moment of trust, of just saying that it's going to be okay. I trust myself. We'll talk about it more today. I trust myself so much that I'm committed to this for a lifetime. We'll figure this out. If I need a bit more time, a couple more months, I'm going to be okay. And Jasmine is saying, my SOS strategy, feeling my body, connecting to earth, breathing deeply, and reminding myself that there is always a way, like I experienced many times before, friends, family, selling valuable items. Yes, beautiful. And I live in an ashram, use my savings, volunteer somewhere, take a loan from family and friends, staying with my mom. Yeah, amazing. Natalie is sharing, my SOS box has always been to laugh and to connect with any way I'm free. No one and no event can take my freedom and my humor. Yes, so beautiful, Natalie. That moment with the ATM machine in Brussels, I'm so grateful because I really felt that it liberated me. This idea that this is going to be end of the world and getting there and saying, all is well, I'm here, I'm laughing, I'm having fun, I'm with friends. We're going to figure this out. It just took off this pressure. The doomsday, the worst case scenario was actually much bigger in my head. And many times it is. The second step that I went on the journey of understanding was that I had a very wicked way of seeing money. How I treated money and how I approached money was not in a healthy way because of my fear of safety. So imagine that you have this friend that comes to you, to your home, and then you say to your friend, you don't come so often. Why don't you come more often? And when you come, you will not stay for long. And then you go somewhere else. And it doesn't feel like quality the time we are having together. And I don't like the way that you show up and you just leave from time to time. And you just start to treat this friend like they are the worst person. Like they are this person that you just feel they are never good enough. They are never as you want them. Oh, you came in this clothes today, but I wanted you to come in other clothes. Why are you showing up like this? Why are you not coming this? And complaining and criticizing and saying that in any way you are not good enough. Do you think that friend will stick around? Do you think that friend will come back to your home and visit you again? I don't think they will. I would not. If I would have friends like that who treat me that way, I will not stick around. And this is how we treat money. This is how we treat money many times. You are not enough. Why do you only come? Oh, but there was just a little money. That was just a small amount. This client only paid for a small course. Or actually, I don't have enough right now. Or I'm always struggling with money. Imagine, I'm always struggling with this friend, Kiara. Kiara doesn't want to stick around. Oh, like this heaviness around the relationship with money as being our worst friend. And that conversation, in one sense, it's creating this reality of attachment of, I want you to be closer to me. I want you to be here, which is almost like water in the pond that is not moving. It's such a smell after a while. It's so attached of, stick around for a bit longer. I don't want you to leave. Why do you have to? Oh, we need to invest in something again. I need to pay my rent. Oh, I need to invest in this. And the money starts just to feel icky around us because it doesn't feel good to be around us because the relationship we have with money is so much attachment, so much neediness, but also like it's never enough. The first thing I realized is that I want money to be my friend and I want to treat money like my real best friend. One of the things I do is that every time I receive money on our account, or if I find money on the street, even if it's a coin, I will feel it in my heart. Every time I receive a smaller payment or bigger payment, I just say thank you. I really stop for a second. And it looks like this. It comes online and I see a payment coming in, or I find money in the street. I just say, wow, money is coming to me. I have so much gratitude. And I don't compare if the money is 5 cents or 20,000. I really do not, because every amount I treat equally in terms of energy. And the second thing I do is when money wants to leave, I say thank you to the money again. So if I have an investment to do, or if I want to pay the rent, or if I'm going to invest in the coaching, it's funny because if you see me with Barak, I would hold his hand when we press on click when we rent an Airbnb or we take a flight ticket or we do something. I will hold his hand and I say, thank you for money for allowing us to create this reality. When I invest, because I see everything as an investment, I literally send it off with love. That way, any money that comes to me, I have deep gratitude. And every time I'm investing, even if we had to pay 3,000 extra for a car situation a couple of weeks ago, and that wasn't very fun, but I was so grateful. I said, wow, thank you, money, that we can do this, that we have the capacity. It will not stretch us to be able to, in this moment, pay for what is needed to be able to let that go. That was this feeling of thank you. Where I invest in coaching, I said, thank you that I have the money, that I have that capacity, that my life is allowing me. And even if it's a book, it's not only about, oh, now I can invest in 4-star hotels and I can travel. It's also, wow, I can buy this book and I can learn something. Like when we go to the store, and Barak always says to me, I'm so grateful that we don't have to look if it will be enough when we pay for food and we can invest in good, healthy food. And we don't take that for granted. I am so grateful that we can do it this weekend. I'm so grateful we can go out. I'm so grateful we can have good quality food so we can nurture our bodies. I'm so grateful that I can invite my family. Like that gratitude, deep gratitude that not only in the receiving, which is the first part, but the art of receiving is, wow, thank you. Someone invested, and it's even the clients, not saying, oh, this client invested 100 euros and this client invested 5,000 or 10,000. Wow, this person took a risk and is so excited to learn with us, to grow with us, to learn something. Wow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now I can move the energy, because the stagnant energy that sometimes happens at a higher level as well. Not only when you start. I have met millionaires that are so stressed and they're keeping on to this stagnant energy, and it becomes this clogged water that is just smelling, because it's not supposed to be held in attachment, in neediness, clinged on to. When you hold on to money, you just want to leave because it doesn't feel natural. It's a river. It has to flow and come and go. And with gratitude, there's gratitude in the in and the out. Jasmine is saying, I agree. I feel gratitude for abundance. It's important too. Yeah, gratitude for the in and gratitude for the out. And treating it with so much respect and love, like your best friend, like you want to be treated. Thank you for coming and visit me. Thank you for allowing me. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for all that you are in my life, in the way that you are. There's nothing that needs to change because I love you in exactly the way. It's an energy. And that means also that you are starting to show up differently, because if you realize that you don't want to be treating people that way and money that way, but also you don't want to be that person. And I call it the struggling entrepreneur, the victim, the one that always talks about, oh, tough now. How are you feeling? I'm not getting clients and everything is tough. And oh, did you see how much that cost? And oh, be careful, that water bottle, it costs much. Getting into this very heavy conversations about how much it's a struggle. And I get it. It's not always the case. I'm not talking about when you are really in that situation. And there's a difference. There's a difference when it really is tough, when there really is a moment when you are going through a really rough time. And there are also moments when we are making it a big part of our story. It's such a big part of, I'm the struggling entrepreneur, I'm having a hard time with, becomes the whole conversation, but there's so much more richness and gratitude in the businesses that we have. So not having enough money, not having enough clients. How do you think a client feels when we have this energy of not having enough clients? That person does not feel valued. Instead of saying, I have a person who invested with me, who trusts me in this journey, I'm guiding this person, I have gratitude and there's going to be more. It's a very different energy. Different from going to, I don't have enough, I want more, because it comes from this logging, I need more. From safety, again, it's mixed up to, oh, okay. There is a different energy. And that energy, you can think about it. And I know it for myself and have a thought about it. When you are around people who are constantly complaining about not having enough money, constantly complaining about not having enough business, sales, and no, it's tough and tough. At some point, it becomes very tiring. And it, of course, we are all going through moments of that. But when it's the constant conversation, when that becomes the only thing, it's almost like there's a repel effect without even us noticing. Just think about that self. You only have a friend who always complaining about how things are not working for her. And the other friend who is living the same situation saying, you know what, I'm going through a moment right now, but that's okay because I'm learning and I'm growing and I have enough time and I'm gonna, this energy of, there's so much beauty in my life. And I am happy with how far I've come. And I have some clients and I have some savings. And yes, I'm working part-time. And that's okay because I'm happy where I am right now. And that's completely fine. I'm grateful. Doesn't matter how much she has in her account. You can have the same amount account, but the way they see themselves, the way they are showing up around people is going to be different. Which one do you think will attract more? The one that says, I'm looking at opportunities. Can you mentor me? I cannot invest. Can I work for you? I'm looking options. I have people coming up to me sometimes. I'm just impressed. They're just going for it. I have no money. I have no experience. Can I work for you? Please teach me everything. Of course. You want to come and work, mentored. You want to learn something. There is some resource I can give you. Of course, someone who has this open mind of finding solutions, finding options, and seeing that it's just a temporary moment, instead of saying, oh, closing themselves down into the spiral. And I've been there, so I can see that. The way out, we talked about it already. How do I want to show up around people? I want you to reflect about this. If the camera is looking at you right now, and you are walking through life and you're seeing yourself, how do you want to show up? What do you want people to say? Oh, she's so inspiring. She's really optimistic. She's going for it. Or, wow, she's going through a rough time. The way she has her leadership, her mentorship for herself, it's incredible. The way she leads herself through this moment, the way she's showing up. Wow, she's so inspiring. It has nothing to do with how much money she has in her account. It has everything to do with self-leadership, everything to do with how we are putting standards of how we are speaking, first of all, to ourselves. Sharon is sharing, it's not pure. Can you expand? I would love to hear more about that. You want to share a bit more in the chat? It's not that I'm saying that you don't have moments when you can have down moments, of course. But what is the constant conversation we are having with ourselves around being the struggling entrepreneur? It's a way for me to bring myself to a more powerful position where I am speaking about myself like someone that believes that this is just temporary. I'm just going through a rough time and that's going to be okay. Where I'm going through, I'm learning, I'm growing, or maybe you're welcoming and there's something beautiful. I'm welcoming, I'm learning something. There's something in this that is a code for me. There's something that I need to integrate. Wow, I'm so grateful that this is going to be a story in hindsight. When I go through those moments in my years of entrepreneurship, since 2011, there have been a lot of different interesting things that happened, the ups and the downs. I'm always thinking, how can I be the hero in this story? If I look back and I tell the story, how can I see myself as the hero? I can really see that I did my best. I showed up with my best. I spoke to myself in a beautiful way. I treated myself with love and commitment and conviction that everything's going to work out. It comes to, what's the story I want to tell? When I'm going to be on the big stage and talk about this conversation, what's the story? How am I going to tell the story when I was going through that rough time in Brussels? How am I going to tell the stories when I was sitting in Lisbon and I was sitting with my mantra and saying, trust, you're just going through a moment in life. It's all temporary. It's not your reality. It's just temporary. Keep the vision, hold the vision. Sharing and sharing. You are speaking about the energy you radiate to a client. If it's coming from me, the energy, I'm in the middle of the practice of purifying my intention before every action. So what you're sharing fuels and deepens the vision for me. Thank you, Sharon. Beautiful. Yeah. I am very intentional when I share about this point of how the standards we have for the energy we bring around how we talk to ourselves around money and how we talk to others around money. And that is another conversation where we open up and vulnerability and heart. And there's a way to also lead ourselves with that in so much power. What I'm referring to here in this moment, this conversation, is this way that we talk to each other on a daily basis. It's the unconscious conversation. And when someone asks, how are you feeling? What do we reply? Oh, actually, how is your business going? What do we reply? The way we show up with the way I'm inviting us to look at the conversation we have on a subconscious level with the patterns of the stories we tell ourselves and others around our business, our money, and that. And really being intentional of, is this what I believe? Is this how I want to show up? Or is there a way for me to speak to myself in a more empowering way and then to speak to others around money in a more empowering way? It just bringing the unconscious to the conscious and making sure that we are intentional with our words. They are intentional with the way we want to show up for ourselves in an empowering way throughout our conversations with others and ourselves. So this is really the conversation I'm having. I'm making a clear distinction here so you also understand that I completely value and honor the moments where we need to go into doing the deeper work and the shadow work and going into the healing. That is a beautiful process of purification that has all the space for this process. And this is more about the actual daily conversations we are having, the words that we are just putting out in the world without even thinking what they represent. This is where I'm leading this part 2 about. Natalie is sharing the struggling conversation I have about building my business, that I have to do it alone because my husband is sometimes tired that it takes me so much time with so little money at the moment. So I stand my great vision alone, but I know it's only a story I'm telling to myself. I have to change it. Beautiful, Natalie. And when it comes to vision and money, and this is going to be part 3, I want to talk to you about holding the vision. It's so important that we get ourselves, first of all, into this space of believing, really believing. That's what took me, like the trust in myself. I trust in myself. And when we have external circumstances where we are met with questioning in terms of timing and reflection, I also invite to open up with your partner about that and having authentic communication, authentic relating in the way that sometimes share how it feels. Because sometimes having a conversation where we open up the actual feeling of, I am building a business and I believe in myself and the vision. And when you share with me that it takes so much time, I feel pressured or I feel this and that. And it makes me feel sad. Opening up into authentically communicating about those things, especially with people around us, can sometimes make a huge difference because sometimes they're not even aware that it can affect us, especially if they're not entrepreneurs. And having those conversations with our family members or with our kids, with anyone, in terms of the holding the vision together. And it's a beautiful process of sharing our vision of around money and beliefs with our partners and putting the also money vision for ourselves. The power in standing in our vision, no matter what. Because sometimes that deep trust in one way to authentically communicate it with people around us and really allow that, but also creating a bubble which allow us to just stay in that power it becomes so radiant and magnetic that people not join it. It's being the strongest energy in the room, getting to a point where it cannot impact you. It cannot touch you. And of course, there is an openness about having authentic relating and authentic communication with our closest ones. But if it doesn't change, there are also ways that we can create this field that is so attractive of abundance, of belief, of trust that it not join it. And I'll talk into that in the part 3 we are going to go into very shortly. I catch myself in the way I speak about money, but then sometimes it turns into blaming self-talk that creates the reality because of my poor mindset. Thank you so much for sharing, Anael. Yes. So the conversation we have with ourselves affect a lot the way that we see the reality. And we'll talk about it in the part 3 about how we shift that. But first and foremost, that when that happens, it's okay. Sometimes we think, if I'm going to do this money manifestation, I have to stay positive and always happy and everything is going to be okay. It's not that. It's that when you catch yourself, oh, wait a second, I got into this state right now. What are the practices to get yourself out? It's the small reactions, action reaction that happens in the day that will add up to a shift. It's almost like you're rewiring your brain. And when I think about it, it's really money rewiring for me is consciously starting to do the small actions, slowly leading up to a shift. So it's not about, okay, blame in that situation will not help us. Feeling blame that I am feeling this way, it's natural. You are rewiring your mind. Okay, let's see how that would look like. I catch myself, I speak about money. Oh, wait a second, there's a blame. I see the way I speak. It's not how I want to show up. I have the awareness in my brain. I blame myself. And I go into this spiral. Instead, what we can do is say, okay, we can segment that. I notice myself speak in a way that this is not the way I want to show up. I feel blame. I give myself love. I give myself enough love. I stay here. Wow. Why do I blame myself? I'm learning something new here. I had the awareness in this moment. I understood something that actually I want to change. Go, Anael. Anael, this is amazing. You're doing something. You have the awareness. Remember the moments you didn't have awareness. Now you have the awareness. And you feel blame. No need to blame. You're amazing. You are doing the work. Okay, what is a better feeling thought in this situation? How can I shift? Okay, next time, let me rehearse. I can say this instead. Let me say that out loud to myself. So then you start to do this conscious, longer process of shifting from awareness, coming back and loving yourself out of blame, shame, guilt, anything, sadness, staying with that until you feel that your inner child is taken care of. Give yourself that love. And then, okay, now that I feel complete, full, what is the new action? And this is going to be a practice that you will have to do a couple of times before it becomes a natural path, because it's a longer path for the brain. It doesn't want to go there. So you might notice yourself again going to, oh, wow, I said it again. And then you have to remind yourself and say, wait a second, if I come back, oh, I did it again. That's okay. Let's come back. Maybe you need to slow down a bit. Okay. Your awareness. And you just give yourself that right to not get it the first time. To say, I am committed to change my narrative, my story with how I speak with myself. And take a lifetime. Again, we come back to the lifetime, right? And take all my life. I am not putting pressure on how long. I am committed. If I tell myself, like I'm learning singing now, my singing lesson, I didn't do a singing lesson for 2 weeks. And yesterday I did a singing lesson. And it wasn't the best one. I had a tough moment. And I still get myself into this feeling of, oh, wow, this doesn't sound good. And then I said, wait a second. I am invested in learning to sing. My vision is we can sing together at home. We can jam. I can be part of this. I am proud of myself of taking every week to do a singing lesson, even if it's 1 hour per week. And I know it will add up. And I took myself into this pep talk of, you're doing it. doesn't matter that this temporary moment felt not perfect and you had moments when you were singing better. Doesn't matter. You showed up today. That was enough. And you show up next week, and that's enough. And that's how we start to really shift that also conversation we are having with ourselves with how we are not showing up. Because if you have the awareness and you are here, we're having this conversation, it's a very good first step. And if you remind yourself and you re-listen and you come back to it and you say, wait a second, oh, there's something I can do differently here. And you can even in conversation say with your partner or if with your best friends, say, I'm practicing to speak about money differently. If you notice me saying something that feels disempowered, please let me know so I can shift that because I want to do that. Or maybe you can say, oh, you know what, Sharon, I just want to, I notice myself saying this. I want to reformulate. I had the awareness that this is not what I stand for. Actually, what I wanted to say is, you have the right to go again. It's such a beautiful way, and we can practice that. We are in the group, we are in the collective, so we can practice that. And practice of saying, wait a second, I noticed that I just said that without even thinking. My conscious thought is this. What I really want to tell myself is this. And we have the right to go get it. Let's talk about the third part, which is expanding the field. So I like what Anil said about the stories we are telling ourselves. And the way I think it is that in any case, if we are creating stories in our mind, what if we create delusional stories that are good for us? Because if Sharon sends me a message saying, I don't like you, and we did this and that, and you're in just a very angry message about something that I did I don't like how you cook potatoes. And I feel, oh, she doesn't like how I cook potatoes. And I create that story. And maybe Sharon didn't even send the message. Maybe it was her teenage friend who just wanted to geek. And then I feel offended because now I create a story in my mind of Sharon doesn't like my potatoes. She doesn't like me. And then Sharon says, oh, actually, that was my teenage son. And he actually sent that. And sorry for that. I love you. I love your potatoes. And then I feel good again. But what I'm saying here is that the way she feels about my potatoes or my food or my color of my hair can have such a big effect on my mind. So either it comes from external, the circumstantial power is such a strong one around money. If I have money coming in, I feel happy. If I don't have money coming in, I feel sad. What if I become delusional and just say, okay, in any case, I'm safe. I don't need to look at my money all the time. What if I create this scenario in my mind, a beautiful story, that I have 100,000 on my account? I wake up this morning and I'm feeling a bit of pressure and I say, I have 100,000 on my account. And I access that feeling. Feel different? Your body doesn't know the difference. Now you create the reality in your mind that you have 100,000 in your account. You have all these beautiful things. Everything's already happened. And you're feeling, oh, wow, I feel calm. I feel good. And especially if you don't look at your account constantly, you don't think about that all the time. You say, okay, I have so much money. I have so much abundance. I can do anything I want. I just feel so free. I'm so grateful. And you start to tell yourself in a very delusional way, if you want, you tell yourself the most beautiful story about your money situation. And watch what happens. Your actions that day will look differently. And the more you can trick your mind to believe that is already the reality, that you already have that access here and now, the more you're going to feel different in your business. They feel different in how you show up in any situation. If I look at my account now and it says a number, it says 100 euros, and then it says 100,000, it will affect my mood. But in the end, it's just a smartphone or a laptop with some numbers on it that I give so much power. Instead of, what if I let go of that power completely? I'm really telling you to explore the reality of, what if it doesn't have control over me? I love it. I'm grateful for it. But what if it's not a big part of my story of who I am and how I go through my day? It doesn't control my reality. What if I play a day of, I have 100,000 in my account. What do I want to do today? And many times I tell myself that. I have 100,000 in my account and I get myself to believe it. The only thing is that we don't believe it. We don't feel that we are worthy and all the things that will come up. Then you have a beautiful practice because your body doesn't know the difference. So if you tell yourself that, okay, beautiful. Now that I have that, what am I going to do with that? And you will realize that many things you actually have access to already. If I look at that in that way of money has not such a big control in my mind, in my beliefs, and in what is going on right now in my system, it's now letting me free. I am free. I can start seeing the flowers around me. Like even just the fact that I took myself for this activation right now, meaning I see the colors of the leaves stronger, the brightness of the green leaves, the brightness of I see, it's almost like the filter in my system is getting unveiled. I see the reality. And then I realize, and it's a sentence I often tell myself, nobody and nothing can take this moment away from me. What I am experiencing right now, no matter what happens tomorrow, no matter what happens in 1 week, right now in this moment in presence, I'm looking at the pond. I'm here with some amazing people that I love. We're going through a journey. I'm grateful. I'm happy. I'm abundant. This is my reality. And no matter what happens after, that's okay. Nothing can take away this moment from me. Because sometimes we don't even enjoy the presence. We might give ourselves a gift of going on a trip or doing something fun for ourselves, a weekend retreat, but we feel so guilty because we say, when I come back, there's so much that needs to be covered. But no, we are already in the future thinking how difficult it's going to be when we come back. So we're not even enjoying the abundant moment we're experiencing. We are not in the present because the money has such a big control over how we are feeling that if we don't see the amount that we want to see in our account, first of all, we don't even enjoy the present moment. And for me, a mantra I tell myself, and something that really helps others when I share it with is, here and now, nothing can change that. Like what I'm experiencing right now, no one can take away this moment from me. I am here. I'm experiencing this. I'm in the present. What happens before or after doesn't really affect this moment. So why not just be here? Just enjoy this. I'm here. This is where I am. The only moment is if I'm safe and I've gone through the parachutes and the safety and non-negotiable, my protocol of things to remember, that I tune back to myself, I'm in a good place. All is well. And from this place, I can start playing. I said, what else can I create right now? And some things that I love doing is really playing with abundance. First of all, really saying that sometimes we think, okay, I cannot buy a yacht, so therefore I'm not abundant. I cannot invest that. So we see lack in things that we cannot yet have instead of seeing what can I already have. And one of the things that I love doing is, for many years, even before I could afford being in a 4-star hotel, I would spend my days in hotels. One thing that I do always is hotel lounges. I belong in those environments. I always visit my abundant future. I would go to, when I lived in Portugal a couple of years ago, I'll go to the 5-star hotel. On Friday morning, I will get myself a coffee and I will write my vision from that place. I will visit my future. I would look at, because sometimes we think it's going to be so expensive, I cannot do that. The difference between renting a place with friends and just saying, okay, you're just going to share the cost the same as some hostels sometimes. But because we think this reality is going to be more expensive because it's a luxurious villa, but actually, if you look at the price, it's nothing different. We can already do so much. So just the fact that we don't allow ourselves to travel, to go to places, to even allow ourselves to dream. Like sometimes we say, I cannot afford that. Even checking, how can I afford that? How can I make that reality? And my joy has always been in creating solutions for, okay, I want to do this. How can we create that reality? What are the options here? Okay, I can go to the 4-star hotel. And for me, it's, if I can choose the best option, why not choose it? If I can create that reality. For us, when it comes to copy places, when Barak and I met, we lived in 2 different apartments. We lived in the same street. Between us was a 4-star beautiful hotel. I had all my meetings there. I just decided this is my co-working space. People went to the co-working space. They paid much more than I did. I went to the hotel and I said, hey, I would like to organize a mastermind for women. Can you give me your breakfast buffet? Can you organize? We had the whole lounge for ourselves, beautiful sofas. They put out the breakfast and everyone paid 10 euros or 9 euros. And they said, how did you find this? And I said, I asked. I went inside and I said, this is my vision. Can we do it? And from that, I had all my meetings there. I did my everything there. I had business meetings. Barak and I had work meetings there. We went there for coffee. They had a big piano. He played the piano in the lounge. We just decided that why not? We belong here. We can be here. And this is how I start to play with the realities. When Barak's brother worked with us a couple of months and he was mentored and really stepping into his abundance, I wired him 100 euros or 150 euros to his account. I told him, I want you to go and I want you to work from the most fancy places in your place and just get the coffee every day. You go to a new place and get the coffee and you work from there. And just dress up, go there and just go there. So that feels super weird. I have my cafe in the corner. I always go there. I said, just go there, see what happens, who you are in that environment, how you start to fit in. And he told me that the practice of just being in that environment and dressing up and buying a coffee in the fancy place just opened him to, I can live in this reality. I can be in different environments. I can play with those realities. I can go to a spa hotel. I can go to a funky rock bar underground. I like to play with all realities. For me, the abundance doesn't come from going to fancy places and sit in fancy places. It's saying that I can go to a fancy place and I can sit on the stairs of 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. and eating snacks from the fridge. That is me. The abundance for me is going to the hotel and saying, actually, I don't want to be here. Let's go and buy a tent and go camp. That is the full abundance of I am playing with reality. So if you want to really play with limitlessness, it's allowing to say, okay, I already have all the money. I can already do that. What can I already do which will not have impact of my safety? And looking at actually just allowing yourself to say, what if I check how much that costs to go and do what I really want to do? Or how can I create? Maybe I can volunteer. Maybe I can do a scholarship. Maybe I can pay in installments. Sometimes we all don't even open our reality to what can be possible because we think that it's not accessible to us. But there's so many options. And when you start cleaning up this, when you start to play with bringing presence, allowing yourself to invest in say that you're always going to be a safe bet. You're always going to be what I tell myself is whatever I do, I will succeed. If it comes from love, if it comes from service, doesn't matter. I will succeed in a lifetime. It's going to be the most beautiful life I can ever create for myself. I'm in safe investment. There's nothing risky about investing in myself. And I'm grateful of allowing myself to explore myself because I'm already safe. So I can explore places. I can say, how would that feel? How would that feel if I allow myself to go on a beautiful, if I even open, so maybe say, I really want to have fancy clothes. Have you opening yourself to going to a fancy store and just testing those clothes? Sometimes that can activate you already. For my ex-partner, what I did for his birthdays was to rent a big villa. It cost me 300 euros per night for 20 people. Can you imagine? We had the most beautiful villa. We had a beautiful table. And there was I opened Airbnb and there was just this villa that they were renting for the weekend. It cost almost nothing for the amount of people we were. Everyone just dropped in wherever they could. We had the most amazing 5 days. Playful. We played like kids in the pool. We did water games. We sang. We just had beautiful dinners because I allowed myself to even say, what if we create this dream reality? I'm just going to play with that. And with that comes I'm going to end with this piece today is when you don't give it so much power anymore, you love it, you have gratitude for money, you have this energy is beautiful, but it's not power over you. There is this flow of energy that starts to happen because you are not stopping, not an energy leak anymore. Because what happens is that if you stop every time to look at your accounts, you stop every time and with the money conversations with yourself, you're creating resistance from the flow. You're creating resistance from the energy. So you are not allowing creation to continue. So if you say, okay, this client doesn't want to work with me anymore, and then you're feeling like all this slack and you go into this state and you stay there, it takes energy from creation. Whereas if you find a way to, okay, this happened, let me go through the SOS, let's see what has to clean. How can I shift the story in this moment? What can I do in this moment? What can I create from my being, from my doing, so I can get myself back into being delusional, completely delusional, and saying everything is perfect. I'm so happy. I have all these people coming. Let's go next. Where's love flowing? Where's I love you? Okay, that's what you're looking for. Amazing. But there are 8 billion people in this world that are ready to play with me. Have I met all of them? No. So I want to explore. I want to go play. I want to have more fun. If there's not love flowing in the moment, there's some resistance. Okay, let that go and let's continue. But we give it so much power. The client is, or maybe someone said they want to join your program, but they're not joining your program. Instead of saying, that's okay, let's continue into the flow, into the creation, into the play, into the joy. Keep the energy going where love is flowing, where there's energy going, where there's creation, because you're going to start stacking that up. More gratitude, more love, more enjoyment, more excitement. Your energy is going to grow. Your charisma is going to grow. And with that comes more, wow, this person is just so fun to be around. They're doing all these fun things. They're invited to all the parties. They're having all these beautiful clients. They're having all this joy. I want to be around that. What are they doing? Oh, can I be part of this? You start to attract because your energy is so magnetic, so attractive, so charismatic that you cannot resist. It's almost, oh, I want that, because we all want to be that, because all of us know that's who we are deep inside of us. So the idea of every time I stop the flow of creation, I stop the flow of energy, notice that and say, I don't want to spend more time there. It's not worth my energy. There's so much joy, abundance, creation. I want to continue playing in this delusional reality that I'm creating for myself, because my soul deserves that. And I want to love and serve and help. And where there is love flowing, I'm going to keep flowing. So, yeah, this is what I want to finish with. The reality we create, that feeling, you can access it right now. It has nothing to do with your bank account. And it's this constant exploration of what is the reality I want to play in, what I want to create. And starting the journey of coming back in these 3 steps that I shared with you today, the journey of calming the nervous system, really making sure that that there's a nervous system that feels safe, going into the second part of rewiring our narratives, our stories, our words that are so important in the way we speak with ourselves and others. And then the third part of creating a reality where you are in control of your reality, where you are the creator and you allow yourself to play, to really play with a delusional space of what if everything is already here? And see what happens in the way you start to see the world, chain effect of the people coming in, the frequency that you're on, energy is going to be around you, just going to be going up and up and up. And there are going to be moments when you feel like, oh, actually, it doesn't feel so good today in this moment. And that's okay. And Anne spoke about that. There's moments and we can be with that moment and we can stay with that. Let's create a container for that. Let's create the structure, the ritual, the healing, the whatever is needed for my inner child to go through that, my safety, maybe there's something deeper. Let's do the work. Let's look at that. And the conscious journey of choosing to come back, choosing to create another reality, choosing to create with the reality now, not waiting for how much you will have in the account. Because I know millionaires who don't live differently because they never allow themselves. They're still feeling unsafe. It has nothing to do with how much you have on your account. And when you get there, when you get to that point in your life of having that, maybe you already had that, and maybe you have it right now, it's just this understanding of, I gave it too much power over me. I gave it so much control over me where there was none. It was a joy, energetic joy of creation that we have together. There's love, there's connection, but it doesn't have control over me. The way I gave it this power or this idea that has nothing to do with my reality. My reality does not get affected by my bank account. It really has to do with your self-love, your deep belief that in this lifetime, I have all my life to figure this out and I have all my life to play. And there's just going to be more and more of joy. Choosing that path, choosing that narrative, choosing that risk. Like, what's the story you want to tell yourself every day? What is the story that you are choosing? I choose a delusional story because I believe in this story so much. And it feels good. So if I choose to feel good every day, I choose to live a beautiful life, what happens is that I'm starting to create that reality. That's what has happened these last years. The more I live and choose to live a delusional, happy life where everything's already perfect and I don't give that attention to the flux of money or the flux of problem solutions, it just keep coming back to this, wow, and what can we create now? And what can we play with now? What are the memories, experiences, service, gifts? What can we do to keep the flow going, creation going, love going?